And then what I'm gonna do is first I'm gonna make the base. So really the base, as you can see back here, is a big circle in the back. So I'm just gonna take a small chunk of dough, maybe like about this size. And I'm just gonna smooth it out with my hands. I would say this is about, I don't even know what comparable size this is, like maybe the diameter of a quarter. I'm just ball size here. And then I am going to press it out into a fairly thin circle to use as the base. So you want to imagine this as the base that it will hold your candle. So it will have to be like slightly bigger than what you think a tea candle diameter is. So I'm really just smoothing it out with my hands because we're not really using any tools. I think if you had tools, you can actually just like roll out a big sheet of dough and cut out circles with like a cookie cutter. But I think it's pretty fun to just use your hands and kind of smooth it out. And I have a fairly thin, probably like a quarter of an inch, maybe even less than that. I'm just smoothing it out, making it as circular as possible. And then kind of about this size, I would say 2 inches across, 2 inches in diameter, and around this thin. So that's pretty much the base. And hopefully everyone's following along. Please let me know if I'm going too fast or if you have any questions. It does get a little bit messy. So like my hands are already all orange. So I have made the base right here. I'm just gonna set it down and then we're just gonna start making the petals. Like the next step is just making the petals. And you can see here that there's actually 3 layers of petals and each layer has 5 petals. So we're just gonna go layer by layer and every layer is gonna have 5 petals and we're gonna do like 3 layers of petals. And essentially how you make petals is again, we're just gonna make a bunch of circles and gonna start out, I'm probably gonna take like a little bit, like a third of your leftover dough. I would divide this piece into like 5 smaller circles, and that will be your first layer of petals. So just like try to evenly divide it out into 5 different pieces. It might not be the most equal, but I would usually just like divide it into 5 pieces. So I have 2 pieces here. Then I'm gonna make 3 more pieces. If some of the pieces are a little bit bigger than the other, I would just like move some clay around. And like generally, hopefully you have 5 little pieces of clay. And I'm just gonna round them out again. I'm just gonna make each of them into a sphere first. And then we're gonna flatten them out again and make it into petals. And honestly, you can do several variations of this. It doesn't actually have to be exactly 5 petals. You can add more petals, you can add less petals, you can do more layers if you want. I think it's pretty customizable depending on what you want to do. And then, so yeah, I have 5 little balls right here. And these are going to be my 5 petals for the first layer. So I'm just going to, once again, flatten this out into a circle. I would say for the petals, you want to keep the circles a little bit thicker. Because you kind of want some structure to the petals so that they hold up upright. So I am just gonna try and make the petals slightly bigger than a quarter. So maybe around this big. And then a little bit thick. Maybe like, I don't know, a third of an inch, half an inch. Probably not half an inch. Like a third of an inch, but a little bit thicker than your base, mainly because you want the petal to like be able to sit upright a little bit. So you don't want it to be too thin or else it won't be able to sit upright. So I'm just gonna make like 5 thick coins with my spheres. And those will be your petals. And you can like flatten it out with your palm. You can use your thumb and kind of your index and middle finger to gently just flatten it out. I'm just going to do that for all 5 spheres. Going to keep flattening them out. And I think after, so I made this one on Monday and it's still actually drying. So I think it actually takes a few days for these air dry clay to dry. And it also might be pretty cool to paint them afterwards. So I'm just flattening all 5 out into slightly bigger than quarter sized and pretty thick. Kind of thick, like a third or half an inch thick pieces.
I'm recording.
Hopefully everyone's following along. So now I have like my 5, let's say, petals for the first layer, and we're gonna make the petals and then stick it onto the base. So how you make the petals is pretty easy. How I make it is, what I do is I just hold it like this, and then I just like squeeze the top. So you want to just squeeze the top a little bit and make it pointy on the top so that you kind of have like a petal shape. So kind of just want to gently push your thumb into one side and then just squeeze one side of the top so that one side looks like this and then the other side looks like this. And just like gently make it into a pointy
I'm gonna share
petal
this
shape.
game.
That's how you make one of the petals. And depending on how, I guess, pointy you want it, you can squeeze this a little bit more, or you can leave it as a fairly round petal. And we're going to use this bottom part to like stick it to the base. So I'm going to put this, and I'm just going to stick it onto the base right here. So I'm just going to, see right here. I'm just going to stick it onto the base, and you just want to gently press onto the bottom of the petal and make sure that it kind of stands up. So you want the petal to be able to stand up a little bit. So what I do is I just kind of gently push this in to the bottom of the base. And then because we have 5 petals, I generally will try to organize them so they're kind of evenly spread around. So I generally know, hey, these are where my 5 petals are going to be on my base. Hopefully you can see that. On my light, so maybe a little bit easier to see. So I spread out my 5 petals, and then I'm just going to make all of the other petals. So I'm just holding a piece right here with my thumb, and then with my thumb and index finger, I'm just going to squeeze the top and make a petal shape.
I'm actually lagging a little bit. I think I get I get the way we are doing it. It's just that I'm not finished it. So I would like to check with other people if they are following along as well. I mean, I'm lagging, so if everyone else is also following and then we can wait on there too.
I'm following me now. Am I still lagging?
It's better now.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, we're gonna keep making some more petals. I just put my thumb in the middle and I kind of squeeze the top part. And then I'm gonna put it onto my base, like just on the very outside part of your base, because this is the very first layer and it's basically like the outside layer of your petal. And what I do is I just kind of press it in, and you can expand the clay a little bit toward the inside as well to make sure it sticks. And then the other thing is I try to make it sit upright a little. You kind of just want to push it up, and that's why we kind of want a slightly thicker petal so that it's able to sit upright. So I'm just going to keep making my petals by doing this and kind of squeezing and it looks like this. I have a little fold on the top for your petal, and then you just want to use the bottom part and just stick it onto the very outside part of your base. So you just want to repeat that process for all of the first layer, like that. Just stick it on. Just want to gently press, but also kind of firmly press it on so it doesn't come off. Make my last petal for the first layer. And then stick it on to my base right here. And then you want to just gently push them up a little so that they're kind of sitting up. And then so that now you have like very first layer with 5 petals and then your base. And then we're just going to do another layer exactly the same as the first layer. Just going to take out some more, and I'm going to make 5 more little spheres and petals. Same process as the first layer. I usually like to do like 5 spheres around the same size, hopefully. Can move some around and they don't feel like they're the same, and then I just make little spheres. Little spheres of 5 petals that are around the same size. And then I can make the petals in the same way for the second layer. So same